I just read this amazing book. The book is called In the Long Run, A Cultural History of Broadway's Hit Plays. This book is about shows in different eras that were in the Golden Circle. What is the Golden Circle? I'm glad you asked. If a show is in the Golden Circle, it means it lasted exactly or over 1,000 performances. 15 of them are talked about in this book. Keep in mind that these are only the shows from the 1910s to the 1980s. Obviously, there are more shows in said circle. This video mainly contains short summaries and what I think about the shows. You can buy this book on the website routledge.com. A word. Okay, a lot of words. About the author. This book is written by Mr. Jordan Schildcrout. Jordan teaches several classes at SUNY Purchase and works as a dramaturg in New York City. Pretty cool, right? Okay, let's begin! Okay, so the book starts with a preface about how Jordan first got into theater as a child, and if you want to know what he said, buy the book. However, I am going to read the dedication because it was just so sweet that I think I have diabetes now. So, it says, "This book is dedicated to David Zelnick, co-author of my favorite long-running romantic comedy." Oh, yeah, they're married. Lichtman takes place in the woods in Nevada. It is set in 1918, which was the year the show came out. The main plot is about a man named Bill Lichtman Jones who owns a hotel at the Nevada-California line. Divorce laws are more lenient in Nevada, so people stay there when they want to get divorced. Coincidentally, his wife wants a divorce. There is also a story of corporate swindling, and ultimately, it saves the marriage. Weird, huh? Fun fact, the producer's name was A.L. Erlanger. Wait. My family is actually trying to figure out if we're related to him. I'll let you know when we find out. Anyway, I really enjoyed reading about this. You know, the male fantasy of female submission. Amy, get your mind out of the gutter. And mentioning the new woman I thought was fantastic, but I was a little confused and that's why the summary was kind of short. Sorry. The next play discussed in the book is A.B.'s Irish Rose. This play was the biggest hit of the 1920s, lasting 2,327 performances. The show centers on an interfaith marriage between a Jewish man and an Irish Catholic woman, and their families' disagreements. Shocker. Now, here's what was unusual about this. The writer and producer of this play was a woman. Her name was Ann Nichols. Of course, she got rejected a bunch because she was a woman, so she produced it herself. Love her. Honestly, I felt a bit of a connection with this because I'm Jewish, and I know my mother would hate it if I married someone outside my faith. I mean, I've met interfaith couples and everything's all fine and good because love is what matters, not religion. This next play is called Tobacco Road, which was written by Jack Kirkland. It was an adaptation of a novel with the same name. This is about people living in a shack in Georgia. I'm only going to talk about the visitors here because this is what stood out to me. The first couple is Law of Bensley, a 30-year-old man, and his 12-year-old wife, Pearl Lester. Love is annoyed that his wife won't sleep with him or even talk to him. I don't know, maybe she doesn't want to sleep with you because she's back at 12. The next visitor is a woman named Sister Bessie Rice. She is a 40-year-old widow with an interest in marrying a guy named Dude who is 16. Oh my god. Okay, no. No. I'm done. Sorry, guys. That was too much for me. Let's go on. Life with Father. This is a show that takes place in the late 1880s. It came out in 1939, but it hit its popularity in the 40s. There is a character named Claire, aka Father, who is strictly religious and tries to run his home in an orderly fashion. However, his wife Vinnie gets her way a lot. Father has a son whose name is Clarence. The son takes an interest in a girl named Mary. The problem is that her family is Methodist and his family is Episcopalian. Meanwhile, Vinnie's cousin Cora visits and talks about getting married. I suggest you read it for yourselves because they touch on religion in a really heartwarming way. It also pokes at gendered names. The man's name, Father, is Clarence, but is nicknamed Claire, while Vinnie is actually short for Lavinia. I thought that was pretty cool. Another thing, page 56 has the word brouhaha. I know it's minuscule, but I just love that word. Okay, on to the next show. The Voice of the Turtle. The World War II soldiers loved this one. It was even written about in the Army magazine Yank. Wait, why does that sound familiar? I see what you did there. Goals. So, this show is for people who love a little sexy time. Okay, there's a lot mentioned about sexy time. The show takes place in a New York City apartment and focuses on a 22-year-old girl named Sally. Sally and her friend Olive are actresses, and it is hinted that they have sex. Sex with men, not sex with each other, but yeah, females having sex. I know, scandalous. However, Sally expresses regret and says that her father was right about the theater and says she won't have sex again until she's 30. However, she made that abstinence pledge when she was 18, and clearly it didn't hold up. But she does try to be abstinent. However, she ends up in a relationship with a man named Bill, and sexy time. By the way, page 69 has some steamy content. If you don't get that joke, you're probably too young for this video. Oh, also one time, at one point, the tickets for The Voice of the Turtle were priced at $4.20. I get it? Anyways, I don't know what the show had to do with turtles, but I mean, hey, at least it's hot. And what I like the best about it is that it starts to talk about female sexuality. Yeah, girls want sex too. Female pleasure is just as important as male pleasure. And if you disagree, click off this video. Next show, Harvey. This show is about a magic rabbit. However, the audience doesn't see the rabbit. Weird, right? This unseen rabbit is described as a puckish puka who upsets the order of the show. God, that wording is hilarious. As Harvey steals stuff, people actually start to believe in him. Even the Actors' Equity got into it and made Harvey their mascot. The show had 18 different drafts. Yeah, I'm confused too. But calling a character a puckish puka is enticing enough for me to want to see this. Next! So, Born Yesterday. A friend of mine who took Jordan's classes was just raving about this one. This is another show that talks about order. It's about breaking societal norms. A man named Paul teaches a girl named Billy Dawn. No, not her. Basically, he teaches her everything society had forbade her to learn about, such as art, ethics, and politics. It's kind of like My Fair Lady, in my opinion. It's a good use of the expression, I wasn't born yesterday. Now, on to chapter 5. Yes, The 7-Year Itch. I think most of you guys have heard of this one because of Marilyn Monroe. You know, the subway grate and the skirt and the... This was the longest running Broadway show of the 1950s. This show is about a man named Richard Sherman. He has been married for 7 years, but while his wife and son are away, he has an affair with a young woman in his building. 2 things to point out. 1, The young woman doesn't have a name. She is literally referred to as the girl. 2, the movie version removes most traces of her sexuality because they were asked to do that. Yeah. You guys already know how I feel about silencing female sexuality. On to the next show. The Tea House of the August Moon. This was a show about the American invasion of Okinawa, which is in Japan. There is a geisha named Lotus Blossom. There is a man named Frisbee who says he doesn't want oriental hanky-panky because he believes that a geisha is a prostitute. Lotus Blossom is committed to serving Frisbee and explains what a geisha really is, which is not really a prostitute. There's, more to that, and there's some artistic components, and it actually seems pretty cool. And the whole show is about the effects of an American invasion, what happens when America invades a place. I mean, we all live on stolen land, so, Anyways, something that has to be mentioned is the discussion of yellowface. This came out in 1956 when that was okay. There were white and Latino actors playing Asian roles. I mean, the whole thing was about an American invasion, so yes, it would be highly Americanized. But that just really disturbs me. Yellowface. Don't do it. Here we have the show Mary Mary. The thing about this show is that Jean Kerr, the playwright, openly hated the current trends within modern drama. She was actually thought to be too avant-garde. The show is about a woman named Mary who is helping her ex-husband with an audit. She's shown to be better off divorced than when she was married. Most of the show is Mary reminiscing with her ex-husband's old friend, Dirk Winston. She realizes that she needs to hold her tongue if she wants to save her marriage. I want to read one of my favorite quotes of the show, and basically the whole book. Bob, I married Mary because she was so direct and straightforward and said just exactly what she meant. Oscar, and why did you divorce her? Bob, because she was so direct and straightforward and said just exactly what she meant. I just love this. What I didn't love was the playwright's husband being a dick and calling her show suicide. Really? Barefoot in the Park. This was written by Neil Simon, who was one of the most successful playwrights ever. He wrote The Odd Couple, which is a personal favorite. Back to Barefoot. So, this is a show about 2 people named Corey and Paul. They just got married and are on their honeymoon. The problem is, their personalities are very different. Corey wants a wilder life, and Paul wants something more calm and traditional. After the honeymoon, Paul gets completely preoccupied with work that he doesn't seem to be interested in being a lover. This angers Corey and makes her want a divorce. The plot is similar to Lichtman, The 7-Year Itch, and Tobacco Road. However, this time, the husband is the irrational one rather than the wife. Some other things to talk about are the fact that Corey's sexual personality displeases Paul and Corey's mother. They just don't want to hear about it. And there's a gay couple in this show. Yes, it is mentioned that there's a same-sex couple living in their building. Paul calls them weirdos. Tragic. Okay, so this is when the TDF and the TKTS booths started. For those who don't know, the TDF is the Theater Development Fund, which is a New York City nonprofit organization that tries to get more people to see theater or help more people to see theater. And the TKTS booths are where you can get discounts on Broadway tickets. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I live in New York, and they've helped me a lot. Gemini. So, this show is a comedy that people called a fluke. Yet, it is in the Golden Circle. Interesting. This show is based on a man named Francis Geminiani. Some other characters are Bunny and her son Herschel, and another single father with a son named Francis, who goes by Fran. Herschel is actually supposed to be the comic version of Francis. I'm confused. Are you guys confused? So, OG Francis is celebrating his 21st birthday, which is on June 2nd, hence Gemini. He has a girlfriend named Judith, but is also attracted to her brother Randy. That's right, guys! Francis is bisexual! However, that word is not spoken in the play. Queer fantasies were called, and I quote, destructive. All I can say is... Another thing in this show is the portrayal of Italian Americans. Abruzzese Italians are a mix of Italian and African American, and in the show they say they speak N Italian. That was the first time I heard that term. Interesting. Death Trap. As you can guess, it is a show about murder. It takes place in a house in Connecticut surrounded by woods. The wall is decorated with weapons. There is a man named Sidney who confesses to his wife, Myra, that he has desires of murder. A former student of his sends him the script of what could be the next thriller. It's called, wait for it, Death Trap. Sidney gets jealous and kills the former student. Myra then wants a divorce. Oh, I didn't want to sleep tonight anyway. Christ. But, hey, now you know what to see this Halloween. Torch Song Trilogy. I am so excited to talk about this one because Harvey Fierstein is a part of it. He's just tops. He wrote the show and performed it as a New York City Jewish drag queen. So, this show consisted of 3 one-act plays. They are called The International Stud, Fugue in a Nursery, and Widows and Children First. So, here's what you need to know about these shows. They're about a drag queen named Arnold and his relationship journey. There are discussions of commitment, being closeted, and sex. Lots of sex. Lots of euphemisms about sex. Arnold eventually ends up with a man named Alan, and they plan to get as married as 2 men can illegally get. Gay marriage was still illegal at the time. Unfortunately, Alan dies. This show is a lot. It sounds interesting, but while reading it, I got kind of confused. Sorry, Harvey. Sorry, Jordan. Last but not least, Brighton Beach Memoirs. This is another Neil Simon show. The main character is Simon's alter ego, Eugene Morris Jerome, a teen going through puberty during the Great Depression, then living during World War II, then his first time being a successful writer. The narrator's name is Glenda Frank, and he characterizes the audience as readers of the memoirs being displayed on stage. Eugene is first described by Glenda as a bright, annoying, and randy 15-year-old. I mean, his first goal as a teen is to see a naked girl, and there are references to masturbating, so yeah. The characters are Jewish and Irish, which were 2 groups of people being heavily discriminated against. I mean, anti-Semitism is still pretty bad, but you get it. Another fun fact is that there was almost an Irish-Jewish wedding, which takes me back to A.B.'s Irish Rose. Anyway, at the end of the day, this is a coming-of-age show that has some elements to Torch Song Trilogy, because of the 3 different stages, and A.B.'s Irish Rose, Jewish-Irish mixing. I'd love to see it sometime. So, all in all, I give this book a 10 out of 10. I think that this is a really good book for theater kids because I had never heard of, most of these shows until I read the book. And I think that if you want to, get better educated in this kind of theater and stuff, then you should get the book. I also love the fact that the title is called In the Long Run, and it's about shows that lasted over 1,000 performances, which is a long run. I just love literal titles, So I'm going to tell a story. So I have met Jordan Schildcrout, the author, before. The first time I met him was at the Loveville High concert after party, which I had touched on in a slideshow that I had made. So what's funny is that At one point we were like on the same side of the restaurant booth, and it was really hard to hear. Whenever I tried to say something or made a joke, he was the only one who noticed, so he was just like laughing at me the whole time. Which, I mean, that's fine, because I'm so kooky. As I mentioned, I have a friend who was his student multiple times. And when I went to visit my friend at Purchase, Jordan was not there, but I did convince my friend to take a photo of me holding the book in front of his office, and he did. So this is the picture. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you buy it. You won't regret it.